This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. So a very big game this weekend, the second test between the Box and New Zealand. A lot of things to think about and discuss, but what I will say is this is a big test for both sides. New Zealand, in terms of they are going to want to prove that they are like the New Zealand teams of old who always bounce back in the second test against the same opposition and got a good victory. Can they live up to that benchmark that has already been set? They're going to be desperate to do so. South Africa, on the other hand, Rassie has had the kind of the tendency to pick inexperienced sides when the job's done, if you want to put it that way, and give the youngsters a run out. But I was hearing a lot of pundits saying might do the same this week, but I don't know. I just get the feeling Rassie has a glint in his eyes. He's kind of sensed an opportunity to really put his foot on New Zealand's neck, and he's gone with a very, very experienced and a very good side, very strong side to face the All Blacks in Cape Town. So let's get into the teams and then we'll make a few little predictions at the end. As I said, Rassie hasn't changed much really from the first test. The front row is the same, on the bench too, the subs are the same. He's gone for Eben and Nokia in the second row. Nokia has come along pretty well so far. He's done well in the line out, which is key. And because Eben is fit, he has the luxury of putting PTSD in his preferred position, I think now, on the flank. And he accompanies Visa, who did well when he was on, considering he hasn't had a lot of game time recently. Looked very powerful, going backwards and forwards, and that's what you want from him. Then you have Kolisi, whose face was terribly banged up after that shot from Sam Cane, which we'll maybe get into later. So a very strong back row too for South Africa. So the pack looking extremely strong. Then into the halfback combination, Grant Williams was selected as the starter. He hasn't started many games for South Africa, but I think he earns his start really. Kobus Reinhardt didn't really have the greatest game. He was okay last week, but I think definitely a chance to roll the dice, and seems like it was mirrored as well with the New Zealand selection. Pollard, perhaps the biggest kind of surprise, has been selected at 10. So he's been warming the bench really since Sasha Feinberg has come through, but Pollard gets a start now. So it's going to be interesting to see whether South Africa play a different style. They kept it reasonably tight when they got the ball last week, but there was still elements of that Brown effect, the Tony effect. But Pollard, he struggled, I think, when he first came into the side under that new system, and but he's a great player and he adapted very quickly. So I'm really interested to see how he works with the two very experienced centres, Creel and Allende, that they've picked there. So that's going to be fascinating to see how Pollard goes. I can't wait to see that. Back three, Colby, Willie Leroux and Moody. Moody, great player, and again, had a few injuries, but very excited to see what he can do on the wing. Colby is he's the man. Willie Leroux always works well with Pollard, so maybe it's like a tandem selection. But I was expecting him to come in actually for Fassi. Not that Fassi played badly or anything, but I thought his experience might be brought to the fore, particularly in the second test. So an extremely strong side. The bench didn't change much. You got a 6-3 split, those Kwaga, Hendricks, Sasha and Am looking to get a good run out, I'm sure. But really strong side, and if anything a little bit more experienced than the side that ran out last week. So New Zealand are going to absolutely have to be at their very best to defeat this South African side at home. As far as the New Zealand selection goes, again, front row, same. Tamari Williams versus Mal Herber. I'm looking forward to the rematch. I think Williams would have a slightly the edge, I think, going into this match, even though, he didn't really do much, but he didn't get destroyed. I think that's why he has the edge. So he survived. But I really do rate him so far from what I've seen in him at international level. And I'm very interested to see how this little story plays out between those two guys. Bharat and Tupo Vai in the second row. Bharat had a quiet game by his standards, I think, in the first test. He'll be looking to up his work rate a lot. Kane, Savea, and then Satiti. The back row, a little bit more power there with Satiti playing the 6. Good ball carrier, dynamic player, but he needs to keep his work rate up. Kane, top tackler last week for New Zealand, but he still has that label of being a bit of a liability with his tackle height, and no doubt he was lucky to get away with the one last week. Let's see if he can improve. He's an influential player, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a bad player, but yeah, you can't be doing that. Like, he needs to be more careful. And if he hasn't learned it now, will he ever? It's a bit of an Owen Farrell situation. Ratima, just like Grant Williams, Ratima is significantly younger, and he's looked full package when he's come on, and he's playing with DMAC again. They're sticking with him. I think, like rightly so, there's been no point to switch him up now. Let the Rugby Championship play out. At least they've given him a fair crack. Whether he will keep his jersey after it, I'm not sure. Ratima, though, again, interested in him and Williams, see how they match up against each other. Centres, same. Of course, Jody Barrett is, fast becoming a New Zealand legend. Very, very good player. And, when he's hyped up, New Zealand team always does well. But they've stuck with, what's his name, at outside centre. What is his name? I've completely forgotten. And maybe that paints a picture in itself. He hasn't done anything for a long time. He was almost anonymous in the last test. So I don't know why Anton Leonard-Brown is not playing. He's on the bench, but for me that's a mistake. Again, maybe giving him enough rope that it'll be easy to drop later on down the road, I would say. But into the back three, this gets interesting now. We've got Sevu Reece and Talia, two very exciting wings. And then Will Jordan finally been picked in his preferred position, I think, at 15. So let's see if he can have an impact on the game. He usually does. So hopefully for him, being picked at 15, he can play well. And bench TJ Barrett and Anton Leonard-Brown, so a bit of experience on the bench. They were criticised quite heavily for the impact that they bench, or the impact the bench didn't have last week. I don't think that was the full story, but certainly played a part. And I think the leadership group, again, all for New Zealand, need to take a look at themselves. Derry Jacobson might add a little bit of impact. He's been like the almost man really for New Zealand. Very, very good player all through the system, and then just hasn't quite made his mark on international rugby at the senior level yet, but a very versatile player, big guy, all the skills. So again, interested to see how he does when he comes on, which he undoubtedly will. So as for predictions, it's a tough one. This one is super tough. I would say usually it's going to be a matter of who wants it more. If South Africa had gone with the the B team, as Eddie put it, I would have chosen New Zealand without a doubt. They really need this one under new leadership, and to prove that they are like the New Zealand teams of previous years. But with this very strong side and the experience that Rassie seems to have lent on in the selection, it's going to be a tough ask. Are New Zealand going to be able to get to that level of performance where they can, challenge the South Africans up front? It's going to be a big ask again. I'm not sure. I really don't know about this one. It could go either way. I would say it's going to be close. But yeah. What would you call? Let me know in the comments. But I'll say back to back. Last time New Zealand were defeated back to back was by Ireland and South Africa. So the only teams to have done it. So South Africa can do it again, I think. Well, they won 2 World Cups on the trot, so I'm going to go South Africa by a point. Yeah. Might be more if the New Zealand boys, I think they will turn up though. I mean, this is a big game for them, but maybe South Africa just have too much experience for them. So yeah, it's a tough one. South Africa by a point. There you go. Put your money on it, it's a sure thing. But yeah, looking forward to the game immensely. I'm sure you are too. So drop a comment and I'll see you for the next one. All right, bye-bye.